Our guest today is Navy veteran Lieutenant Commander Neil Sawyer. So thank you for being, doing this interview with us, and we'll start out with your childhood memories. What can you tell us a little bit about your childhood?
Well, I grew up in a small town of Annandale, Minnesota. It's about 50 miles from Minneapolis. And my father worked in a bank, and my grandfather owned the bank. I In high school, I was in the 4-H club. I was in the Glee club. Um, I was in a band, and I played baritone. I was on the first team of the basketball team, and I was very proud of that.
And then what about any like your education? You were in Annandale your whole life, and then you went to college right after high school?
I went to Hamlin University in St. Paul, and I lived in a men's a men's house. Was There was about 12, 10 or 12 students, boys, lived in this house, and we ate meals across the street. It was a food, they call it a cooperative, and we each student had a job to do over there at the food service. Some of us washed dishes, some of us swept the floor, stuff like that. While I was a student, the the government started drafting men into the army. The war was going on in Europe, in Belgium and Holland, and Hitler was going all through Europe. I tell you, how did I become interested in the military? You didn't have to be interested. The government just says you're in the army. See,
How did you get started in the military?
I shopped around with the army and the navy in the enlistment people, and I've discovered that the Navy had a program called B7, and B7 was if you had 2 years of college, you could join the Navy. So that's what I did. I joined the Navy. They sent me to Northwestern University in Chicago for studying navigation, seamanship, and gunnery. And then they got graduated. The Navy made me a commissioned officer of ensign.
What was your first assignment in the military?
Yeah, the USS Boise was a light cruiser. We had it was about 600 feet long and 60 feet wide. It was designed for speed. My assignment uh, on the Boise was I operated the computer that controlled the main battery of guns. We had 5 turrets. Each turret had 3 cannons, and the cannons were six 6 inches in diameter and about that long. And then there's a powder, propellant powder behind that was about that long. Just before December 7th, my ship was sent to the Philippines. So I was not at Pearl Harbor when Pearl Harbor was dead. I was at that time. I was in the South China Sea on the Boise.
It says too the Boise was in the Pacific to start with, and it also went to the Mediterranean. Did you get to go travel that far with it too?
We participated in the invasion of Sicily and Italy, and we um, bombarded the shore German ships, German positions. I I hit I hit a German tank on a highway on the island. I had a radio man right here by ship, and we had a shortcut probably. Some people would go ashore and look around. And then they tell me my radio man would get that. My radio man would tell me what he what he saw.
What about some of your service buddies? Do you have any memories of them? What any favorite ones that you had in the service might have kept in
Yeah,
contact with over
yeah,
the years?
yeah, yeah. My two best friends was Tom Collins. He was a big guy from Texas, and the other one was Dixie Howell. And Howell was a graduate of Annapolis. I didn't go to Annapolis. You couldn't go. The only people that could go to Annapolis was if your father was important and knew somebody in Washington, then maybe he could get you sent to Annapolis. But I wasn't. I was sent to Northwestern University in Chicago, and I told you we studied navigation, seamanship, and gunnery, and they graduated in 90 days. They called us the 90 Days Wonders.
As a lieutenant commander, how many sailors were under your command?
The men were in different divisions. I was in the what they called the fire control division, and that was had to do with the controlling the guns. We guns just up down. See,
How do you look back? Like what's your best memories of the service?
I had just got married, and I joined the Navy, and then I had to go away and leave my wife. So that was really hard.
Did you meet her in college?
Yes.
It probably was a fast wedding planning. If you had to go off to war, did she do any of the planning?
Yeah. That one week in June of 1941, I got married. I I got a commission in the Navy. See, I got married, got a commission in the Navy.
Is there anything else you'd like to share about your military life? Any traveling the world? Is there anything you'd like to share with us about that?
You know, if you're from Minnesota, you go on a ship, you don't know anything about a ship. Uh, the first two or 3 days, you get seasick from the kept rolling on like that. You just vomit. You just vomit. You know. And then it after 2 or 3 days, you get used to it, and then you're not sick.
So tell us a little bit about after your military life. When you came back after the war, you were married. Did you start a family then when you come back?
After the war, I came home to Joanna, this little town, 700 people, and I had my wife with me. And my dad and my mother only had only a little 2-bedroom house, very small house. And my dad says, it's about time you go get a job. And I said, yeah, I know, but I don't know what to do. He says, I will tell you what to do. He said, I'm going to send you to a place where wealthy families send their sons to learn to manage the family fortune. Okay? So they sent me to the trust department of Northwestern National Bank in Minneapolis, and that's where I worked.
How many years did you work there? Then eventually you came to Winona
Oh.
with the bank. Is that how you ended up here, or were you in Minneapolis most of your working life?
No, I worked in New York, in Baltimore, in Philadelphia, and also I lived in Sacramento and San Diego. So I lived in 21 places.
So did you come back to Winona to retire then, or was there a bank like a position open at one of the local banks you worked at?
I came to Winona because of a job, and Winona, the bank, it was called the First National Bank, and they had a trust department, and the trust officer left Minneapolis and took a job in Florida, so that left the opening for me. So that's how I got the job, and as trust officer, I didn't make loans. My job was to administer trusts and pension trusts, and so I was trained at Northwestern in investment research, and I spent 3 years there in investment research. So that was teach me how to select stocks for investment, for preservation of capital and production of income. Those two things. And we never bought anything unless it had a company had many years of profits and many years of paying dividends. And we just bought. The idea was when we bought, we didn't trade back and forth, buy and sell, buy and sell, buy and sell. No, when we bought, we figured we'd hold it for 3 years to 5 years.
Did you work for other banks in Winona, or did you
No,
work for the same?
that's just the only one.
How many years did you work for the bank in Winona?
Oh, maybe 25 years.
Did you see any major changes in the banking industry when you were working there?
When I first worked in the trust department, the boss told me, he says, we are buying common stock for investments. And we never did before. We always used to buy bonds. So this is the first time we were starting to buy stocks. He says, if it works out, we're okay. If it doesn't work out, we will lose our jobs out.
All right, so our next segment here will be a little bit about your family life. Can you tell us about your family, like maybe how you met your wife and your kids and all about that?
Well, we had 4 children: Barbara, George, Jean, and Sandy. That's Sandy. And let's see. Oh, there's pictures of these kids, my family, around the walls here.
And then when you were in the service, was she a housewife then, or did she end up did she do other things at college?
Yeah, she got a job as she was a teacher, and then she in this in the 7th and 8th grades, and then later she my wife got a job at the Winona State University, and she became dean of nursing at Winona State. She also went back to school and got a PhD in psychology. So she had a doctor of psychology.
Did she help save the nursing program at Winona State? Was she instrumental in helping with that?
Oh, when she worked there, Winona State University, the nursing department was not certified. And she worked and got the program certified by a university.
So any other family memories you want to share?
I'm lucky. In my work at the bank, they taught me investment research. So over the years, after we sent 4 kids to college, I was able to start buying stocks and bonds. So I have lots of stocks and bonds now. It can be big income.
You and your wife have been philanthropists in Winona in the past. Do you have any favorite causes that you'd like to mention? Do you have any scholarships or anything that you've worked on?
We established a nursing scholarship at Winona State, and we gave them some money.
And how about the Laws of Life essay contest? The Laws of Life essay contest? Was that part of it, or is that a different?
Yeah. How did you find that out?
We have some good researchers.
Oh, Laws of Life. I established an essay contest at the high school. We had an essay, and we would give prizes to the best essay. And so every year I would go around down to the businessmen and ask for donations, and it took about $1,600, $2,000 a year to carry the program on and to give the prizes out.
During our research, we found that you actually bought a Corvette not very long ago.
I bought a Corvette.
Yeah. Can you tell us about that?
Hell, I bought 2 or 3 Corvettes.
How about the yellow one? About the yellow Corvette?
Oh, the yellow one, yes. I bought special cars for that tire. Each tire cost $400. The car was fun to drive, but when you get old, it's no good because the seats are so low. It's hard to get in and sit down. And when you're sitting down, it's when you open the door, it's hard to stand up. It's hard to get out.
So do you still get out and drive it now and then, or does someone drive it for you? You still have the car?
No, I gave one to my son. I gave my Corvette, my red one, to George, my son George. He still has it. I have a 4, 5, 6, 7. I have 8 automobiles. 8 automobiles.
Do you ever get to drive them or see them?
Yeah, I have a Lincoln here in the garage here, and I like that car very much. I drive it every day. It's in the garage here.
So just recently, you celebrated your 100th birthday. You took a ride to California. You took a plane ride to California. Can you tell us a little bit about that? It'd be the Palm Springs Air Museum.
Oh yes, yes, yes. That's a very many World War II airplanes.
We would like to know what your secrets are for getting to 100. What are your secrets in life to live as long as you have?
Don't smoke. Don't drink. You have to be happy. You have to be happy. You can't hold any grudges. You can't hate anybody. I am thankful for all my benefits. I'm thankful for all my blessings. You know, my children, my income, my farm. I have a farm too I own. And yeah, I just feel thankful. I've had a good life.
I want to thank you for being our guest today, and thank you for your service.